How's it going, everyone? Welcome, chillin'. It's not chillin' with. It's not D&D, lo-fi D&D anymore, man. That was what was gonna come to my so what was coming to my mind. No, welcome to D&D and chill. That's what we're calling it now. So it is Monday, and as such, we will be working on building Endyr's dungeon. So today we are going to be working on excuse me. So today we're going to be working on setting up the final sector to floor 2, which was elements. And that is going to be air. So I've been working on this one throughout the week. Not really. I'm definitely finding it harder and harder to like sit down every day and do this. And I'm more just like kind of dragging myself at points throughout the week and just being like, all right, I got to do like 2 or 3 rooms today. But it's still going. We're still trucking along with this. Brought some specs. Is there stats on the screen? What do you mean specs? Oh, wait, sorry. Are you referring to my glasses? Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's a thing. I've been dealing with some eye things the past couple days, so I had to wear my glasses instead. So I just accidentally, 1 second. Okay. So like I said, been kind of doing this in chunks. It's just, you know, got shit going on in my life and still trying to manage this. Honestly, not gonna lie, these past 2 days I have not worked on the dungeon. I don't know what the rest I don't know what the next floor is going to contain. It's starting to be one of those things where I'm starting to feel a little bit of a burnout from it, unfortunately. So I might start kind of reining it back a little bit. Not gonna lie, that's something that I've been thinking of for a bit, you know, redoing how the structure is, and but I'm gonna take this week after this stream and, you know, sort of think about things. As much as I love Endyr's dungeon, you know, I have some other ideas in mind that I can do on Monday nights here on the channel. And might explore some of those options. Also, a lot of my creative, my creative juices are starting to flow a little bit into another project, that I will hopefully be able to talk about, soon. But, that's for another time. So, but we can at least go ahead and bring up our Why did it not work? Why is it not bringing up my windows? There we go. Huh, that was really weird. All right, Professor Kelf. Yeah. Yeah. That's, you know what, funny enough you say that, that's actually something I've been thinking about doing on Mondays, is more of that, you know, Dungeon Master Academy stuff, the going in and you know, offering up my knowledge to people if they have questions. But at least for right now, I'm going to keep going with the mega dungeon. See what we'll see what the future holds another time. So why can I not select that? Thank you. I need to move that up here, make my life a little easier. All right, so we talked about or we worked last week on the Earth sector of the dungeon. It was it seems like a bit of a jumbled mess there, but it was a collection of earthen corridors guarded by fierce earth elementals. And you'll notice that the one that we're going to work on this week likewise continues with that, what we have done with this level of these kind of thematic sectors guarded by elementals. Once again, pulling from the elemental list on for our enemies, so that will become apparent very soon. But just to give you a rundown of the 7 rooms that we made this week, this is the air sector. So it is a temple looking area with windows and openings that peer down into a stormy void. So kind of similar to the very first sector we ever did, the stars, which had an illusion of the night sky on the ceiling in every room. This one is more appears as if it is in the clouds from the open space around. But the first room is a large open room, is a large open space with a high ceiling and 2 locked bronze doors. So there's a set of marble steps leading up to some locked bronze doors. They will not respond to any magic, and the keys to the door lies later in a further chamber. So this dungeon is kind of split in 2 levels. So the bottom level is where the first 3 rooms are, and then the top one is where the next 3 and then the boss room is. So here it's this first opening area. There's these 2 locked bronze doors, and they won't respond to any magic, but there's these narrow bridges. This is technically what room 220 is. So there are 2 narrow bridges on either side that snake their way along the side of the temple, leading to a large open chasm that is underneath the temple floor, what is actually above. So there's going to be powerful gusts that kind of kick up and threaten to knock the players off. Now, this is going to be very similar to back here at the cold sector, where was it? Here it goes, all the way back here. So it's going to kind of be like this thin bridge of ice across a bottomless pit where it's quote unquote, there was a bottom to that pit. Unlike this one, which actually is just a bottomless pit. And the way that would work is if a player falls off, then either the rest of the players that are there have to defeat the final elemental in order to get that player back, or So they need to figure out a way to fly. Now, at this point in this dungeon, players should be maybe 4th level, 5th level at this point. So I believe that would get them access to fly, because I think that's a 3rd, yeah. So that's a 3rd level spell. So if their 5th level fly spell is kind of necessary and is really useful for this particular level, because it would help a lot. But it is also a 3rd level spell. At that point, I think you only have like 2 castings if you're 5th level. Let's take a look. Wizard at 5th level. Yeah, 2 castings of a 3rd level spell. So you would want to be very selective on when you use this, considering there's plenty of opportunities where it would be important to use. So once players get past this narrow bridge over a bottomless pit, this is where they come to a large, deep, dark pit with slick walls. So kind of similar to this room in the previous sector, where it's 2 cliff faces that the players have to climb up and down and up the other side, and they're dealing with the Galebdurs and the piercers along the ceiling. This one is a slick wall that imposes disadvantage on all athletics checks to climb. So there is a bottom to this pit though, but it is roughly 120 feet down. So it takes a while to climb, but it is mostly just skill checks to get down. Now the thing is that 120 feet down, that would actually exceed the maximum for falling damage, considering by the book, falling damage is 1d6 for every 10 feet to a maximum of 10d6. So depending on how a DM runs it though, they can technically say like, okay, at so much of a height, you just die. But this is also going to mean that somebody who has a lower athletics score will probably need some help. There will, you'll need to use ropes or some kind of spells in order to make this work. At the very bottom of the pit, though, is going to be a key. It's going to be a bronze key sitting in the middle of this floor. Once the players pick it up, a group of storm spirits will appear and start to assail the party. Now, storm spirits are actually from the Creatures Codex. They're this really cool like lightning elemental. When I was looking into creatures for this, I kind of loved the idea of this being similar to the air elemental, having the air form, but being more specifically lightning and thunder instead of just air. And you're going to see that. You're going to see another use of this one later on. Just unfortunately, there's not a ton. There's not a ton of air elementals. So, but yeah, so after that, once the players climb back out of this, they then have to cross those narrow bridges again. So I didn't really put like a lot of challenge in like enemies wise in these first 3 rooms, because having to, kind of go through the same room twice and face the same challenges, definitely is going to be a major, part of this. So once the players climb back out of that slick pit and they make their way over the narrow bridges, I should actually just, instead of saying bottomless pit here, this should just be, actually, I meant bottomless void. There we go. So once the players are actually able to head up into the temple proper, this is where they're going to enter into a large library. Now, in this library, there are invisible stalkers. Now, visible stalkers are a fairly classic monster. I've used them in a few campaigns that I've ran, and basically they are invisible spirits that can attack and are invisible. So the main thing to remember about creatures that are invisible, like it says here on the screen, it is that attack rolls against it have disadvantage and its attacks have advantage. Now, invisible stalkers, as they move around, they actually have a hover speed and they have a fly speed. They are kind of formless, which means that they are not necessarily, ever present. They don't really make sounds. The most you would know that they are, or the only way that you would really know where they are is when they hit you. So I kind of love invisible stalkers for this because it's something to just throw at a party, and they just kind of have to, flail about for a bit. Now, in this particular case, a lot of creatures have stuff like this, these traits. Faultless Tracker, the stalker is given a quarry by its summoner. This would just be that they're there to guard this library. Now, the reason why I chose a library is in so many different movies and stuff that I've seen where they're dealing with ghosts, or they're dealing with gusts of wind. Somebody ends up in a library and there's pages fluttering about. So one of the things that I would actually give for this is for gusts of wind to sweep into the room and kind of lift some of these scrolls by opening valves on these walls. And then those pages, you would be able to see the stalker moving through that. So it kind of creates an area of opaqueness, because you have all of these pages from books and scrolls being kind of tossed about, but it would allow you to potentially see where it's moving through. So that is room 222. So room 223 is an open room filled with platforms and clouds. So this is kind of these next two rooms are kind of you're going to see this next room doubled up at the very end. But what this is there are platforms that are over a pit, another openless or another bottomless pit. Sorry, not a bottomless pit. No, that's in the next room. So this is that there are platforms that lead up to the door. So the door is actually high above, on the far wall, and there are clouds that float through this room, and hidden within the clouds are air elementals. Now, normally an air elemental does not have the ability to move between two locations. It doesn't have a teleport or anything like that. But in this particular room, that is how they would work. So these clouds, they would be able to move between them, making targeting them very difficult. So once the players reach the top platform and they progress through the next door, they are going to enter a room filled with rubble and debris and a large storm spirit. Now, this storm spirit is going to be much larger than the other one. So the other storm spirits are medium. This one is going to be large, possibly huge. I don't know if I want to make it huge because that might be a little too big. But it is going to be considerably more powerful. And the way that this one would work is the players just really need to get through the room, but I'm gonna have obstacles in here, and this storm is causing everything to be covered in a slick, kind of rain coated I think it's just that. I think I'm trying to find words that are too complicated that don't exist. Everything gonna be wet in this room because of the rain. Yeah, so I wanted to have something that was more like moving through the storm. So as the players are progressing through here, they're going to have to be overcoming these obstacles, but there's going to be lightning shooting down at them. And the players can choose to fight the lightning spirit, or they can choose to ignore it. And, you know, just progress on to the final room. Now, the thing is that this storm spirit will stop at nothing to you know, attempt to get them to stop, including bringing down these large pieces that are going to be adorning the ceiling. So a lot of the rubble and stuff that is in there actually comes from the ceiling itself, where this storm spirit is raging and is going to be sending down blasts of, you know, lightning and thunder from. So it can actually rumble these like trusses down and drop them onto the players. So that's something that the players will have to deal with as they are getting through. And again, they can choose to ignore it and just progress through, but if they do, it'll actually make the next fight a lot harder, which is the boss fight. So this room is a large open room with a bottomless pit. This is where the bottomless pit is, and it is filled with platforms that hover over this pit, and gusts of air that keep them aloft. In the center is going to be a huge air elemental. If the storm spirit is not dealt with and killed in the previous room, it will bond with the air elemental, becoming a huge storm elemental that will have these same abilities, and also having the whirlwind ability and multi-attack. So if you don't deal with the one monster in the previous room, the final boss becomes a lot more difficult. But the other thing that makes this room a challenge is that over this pit, there will be platforms. But these platforms do not stay permanently, unlike the previous room that had platforms which are, you know, held aloft by gusts of air. That stay there. In this room, some of the platforms drop, and well, all of them will at one point, but they'll drop down and then another one comes up somewhere else. So there will be ways to advertise this. This is something that I wanted to make sure that as I was writing this, it wasn't just going to be so unfair that somebody's on a platform, or even if two people are on a platform, because I want them to be a little bit bigger. Having it be something where you're standing there and then all of a sudden you know the floor drops out beneath you. Basically you would feel kind of the rumbling, you would see the platform kind of shaking, and that would be the round that, you know, like, okay, I have to get off of this, otherwise I'm falling somewhere. And then the area where a new platform is going to be showing up, you're going to start to see like small eddy currents that are billowing in the clouds that form here. So you're going to kind of have this idea of where these platforms are that you can move. And the reason why this is important is because you're going to have to be dealing with, you know, fighting this air elemental, which is going to be attempting to knock you off and push you around, but also because in this sector I have yet to include them, this room is going to have small little smoke mephits. Now, as we talked about last time, mephits are small little impish creatures that exist in the quasi planes between planes, the elemental planes of chaos. So we already did dust mephits in the previous room. That's, you know, air and earth. And we did ice mephits, which is air and water, but we have yet to do smoke mephits, which is air and fire. because we did magma methods before. So this is actually where we are going to have our smoke methods. Now, smoke methods have a really cool ability, which is where it can spew out a cloud of ash, this cinder breath, and it exhales a 15-foot cone of smoldering ash. Each creature must succeed a DC 10 dex save or be blinded. This is going to be where these guys are coming in. They will be creating the clouds, these dark, stormy clouds that are around this air elemental on this platform. That's actually how you're going to be able to see where those eddy currents are. Not only that, but whenever they die, they create that sphere of smoke. So I'm very much looking forward to these guys. I love methods. I bring them up all the time, but I love their design. I think they look cool, and also just how they work is awesome. But yeah, so that's the basic design of the air temple, as I have been kind of calling it from the beginning in my own head. But now that we have what the rooms are, now we need to design them. We need to actually build them. So this one is obviously we have one choice left. Fire to, oh, come on, disconnect. There we go. So we have fire to the west, water to the north, earth to the west, or earth to the east, and now we're gonna do air to the south. I really have not, like, did you consider those periodic table elements, hydrogen, helium, not air? I did. I looked into them. I had considered using using the one, I believe it was I think it was the hydrogen one. Might have been, let me see here. I don't know if it was or unless it was different now, because I looked through the one the one book, but I did see that one stat block you posted about the hydrogen elemental, and it was definitely interesting. I just didn't really like jump into it too much. So it did have a really cool that hydrogen bomb. There it is. I couldn't find it. Yeah. So something like this, it definitely, you know, it definitely is thematic. So like I said, unfortunately, while I was going through building these, I wasn't really like digging back into a lot of that chat, unfortunately. But I had thought about this aspect, this hydrogenic catalyst, stuff like this. You could probably do pretty well into into its own adventure. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I did not take time to add those ones in. All right, so we need the first room, a large open space with a high ceiling and 2 locked bronze doors. Funny enough, I have such a hard time like building down areas. I always build up. It's gonna be very awkward for me in a way. All right, so we're gonna grab this. Make a little, no, we don't want rough. I don't want any of this rough. I want this to be like solid marble walls. All right, so that is 8, so that'll be 16. We're gonna go pretty big for this room. Oh, did I fucked that up. Yeah, I added one too many. All right, so there we go. So there's that. And then we need to have space around the edge. So I'm going to put a block there. And put one there. And then this is going to go out to there. And you know what, actually. Okay, I have an idea about how I want to do this. All right, so what we're going to do, I want this narrow path to be very narrow. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to grab the wall tool. And yep, make sure dash is off. And this is going to be a very, when I say like narrow bridge, I mean like not even, you know, like maybe 1 foot across. So I'm just going to use this wall tool to illustrate this. And it is going to move around the room. And I think this should... Did I just seriously get rid of that? Son of a bitch. Okay, hold on. How many spaces across is this? This is 16. Okay. So that means that this is where it'll end. So I'm going to put a little node there. That's where the door's gonna have to end. All right, let's try this again. Let's build a slightly different design. So one of the things that I want to have with this is that even though there are some sections where it like recurses close to itself, son of a bitch. In some sections where it like gets back close to itself, I want to make it so that traversing through these areas and is something where you kind of have to stay planted, because if a player decides that they want to jump across, they will have to make an athletics check in order to avoid getting blown around by a gust of wind. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for them to attempt it, but they'll have to be very smart about it. All right, so we got one side, and now we're just going to mimic this on the other side. I keep clicking one too far. And then what I'm going to do is, it was windy around here. Seemed to want to blow my Baja. Yeah, it was windy out by me as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a section here. That's just going to kind of be freestanding. That's going to be there simply to tempt the players to try and jump across these sections. Again, it's not impossible, but definitely a challenge to do so. I need to put in this previous room the steps. There we go. The large marble steps that lead up to the bronze doors. Actually, you know what? Let's actually do it from here. There we go. And this way we can have like a wall here, and that'll be that top platform. And then we'll throw 2 large doors. We're going to do a door here and a door here. And this could actually open up a bit. We'll just have like a platform there. Would have messed up that mirroring. Well, I definitely messed it up at least once. There we go. I gotta say, I'm so not used to wearing glasses anymore that like the pressure the glasses put on the back of my head is just enough to give me a headache. Gotta like pace myself. Literally what I did there solved nothing and just did the exact same thing. God damn. What a waste of time that was, but oh well. I live with my choices. All right, now we need to do the large open pit. So we're going to grab a rectangular tool. We're going to do a big 12 by 12. And you know what? Maybe we'll do nope. Let's start it here. We'll do 6. And then we'll take this. There we go. And then we'll take the wall tool. And actually, it probably would not be too difficult to just do that. Oh wait, actually, hold on. Let me subdivide this. See if that works. Hey, that's perfect. All right, so this will be the top ring where the players can walk around and then they can descend down in. So there we go. That'll totally work. All right, so players start up in this first area. I I don't like how it's... This is up here. I kind of want to chop these corners off, but I want them to be triangular. Oh, I got an idea. We'll just cut it there. So how many over was that? That was 3. There to there. Perfect. There we go. Now it's this so not so blocky. That's not too bad. All right, so players come down in here. We got to add a door, by the way. Players come down in here. This large grand staircase ahead of them. 2 large doors at the top. 2 small doors on the side. This is a completely open area leading to just the void. And then beyond that, a door that leads to a deep, dark pit with slick walls that the players have to go down in. Once they get down inside, that is where they're going to have to fight those storm elementals. So the way that I'm going to illustrate this next part is by just having it over here on the left. Because the next area, this large library, is actually right above this, where this narrow bridge is. So that is what we need to build next. Which, how big was this? 16 by 15. Okay. We're going to build this up here. Make sure I have enough room. Yep. Okay, so we got plenty of room. So 16 by 15. I just realized I put these doors in the wrong spots. That's where they should have been. All right. And in the middle of this, four, six, yes. So this is going to be the space right behind these doors. That's where these doors lead to, is the entry, and then into the library proper. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so I think for this, I'm gonna grab some assets, because it's probably gonna be the easiest way to illustrate this. Bookcase. Wow. All right, perfect. How big are these bars, though? Oop. Hey, look at that. Got a bloody nose. At this time of year, this is super common for me. Just got to get some paper towel and shove it up my nose. All right. So I'm not too crazy about these like bar ends. Actually, they're not bad if you put them together. Okay, I could probably work with that. Give me 1 second real fast while I fix my nose. All right, there we go. Now I'm back. Yeah, don't worry. This happens all the time this time of year. In fact, it's happened 5 times today. A handful of times were, or most of the times, while I was at work. But unfortunately, it just is the fact that, you know, it's cold out, or it's winter, so it's super dry. And then on top of that, I also had a bit of a cold, so I'm constantly like sniffling and stuff. I'm blowing my nose, so it's just one of those things that I deal with, especially at this time of year. But I have some juice. I have some peach sour mix. It's supposed to be like a peach sour. It tastes like peach and cinnamon almost, so it kind of like tastes like a peach cobbler in a way. It's weird. All right. So what do I like better? I kind of like these books. Like these bookshelves more. All right. So, but at the same time, I also, oh, actually that works. That is even better. Perfect. I wanted them to be a little bit thinner than what they were, and also to work with these, which I imagine is that does kind of line up. I don't know what's better, that with this. Oh, that's far better. That's so much cleaner. Oh. Man. Fudge. All right, you know what? We'll do the actual bookcase instead of the bars. I'm not gonna not use the bars though. What we're gonna do is let's put this over here. This is gonna actually get turned like this. This is gonna get put there. That'll go right up there. And then we're gonna have like this small kind of desk area. And we'll grab a chair. Maybe not. What is the difference between these? I think that's just the same thing twice. how to have a library as an entire dungeon. As an entire dungeon, you could do it as a maze. Like, you could do it as, you know, as like one big area that the players have to traverse down through, have like multiple levels. One thing that you could do if you wanted to do an entire dungeon as a library would actually be to set up, like, look up what are the different sections of a library. So we or even like literature you could do. So for example, you could have something like you know, one area where there is like kids books, an area where there is like sci-fi, an area where there's like the fiction stuff, the non-fiction, and then you could have like a romance section, kind of working off of different genres of literacy. So if you had, you know, like a romance section, for example, of the library, maybe that area the players are having to deal with succubuses and creatures that have charm abilities like vampires and stuff like that. You could have the scientific section, kind of like what you brought up earlier, those periodic you know, elementals. Maybe you have like these, you know, an entire level where it's the science section. So, well, it might not be separated into the same way that like a normal library would be based off of, you know, like actual, you know, departments within a library. One second. Sorry, my buddy Glenn just sent me something and I had to respond to it now. I forgot you helped in a library in your past. You know, I didn't. Well, okay. So let me say this. I didn't help in a library. Yeah. I didn't help in a library per se. No, I would not impose Glenn to share what he shared to everyone. That is his choice. Yeah, so I do volunteer at a library, but it is to run D&D games for people. So I don't know anything about the library. I simply show up and occupy one of their rooms for roughly, you know, 4 hours every other week. So that is my experience at a library. But I will say though, as a kid, I did work as a library assistant, if that is what you're referring to, because as a child, I wanted to get out of my homeroom, and one of the ways that you could do that, you know, was to go and work for the library. Basically go down there and just do work for them. And sort books and stuff. So I did do that in my when I was in elementary school. I think I also did it in middle school too. I think I might have done it in middle school as well. All right. All right. Place in all kinds of stuffs. A bit of a break between the two walls there. We can grab this, group it, rotate it. That can go right there. And then take this. And I guess this would just need actually moved down. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this section a little bit differently. Have this one be more... Oop. Glenn said Professor Kelf, maybe library. No. Library Kelf. No, yeah, definitely not. I haven't spent time other than when I run my games at the library now. I very rarely ever find myself in and around a library. My libraries are mostly digital nowadays. Oh crap, I need this to be symmetrical, so this needs to move over. This needs to move over. Oh, just for today. Well, the library is definitely the one, you know, one of the parts of this map that I'm, you know, definitely spending some extra time on. All right. So I don't know if I should move this over, have this in the middle, and then that. Yeah, that's oh shit, didn't mean to do that. That'll honestly work a lot better. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, copy it and paste and group that, and that's just going to get placed right over here. And then these are going to get copy and dropped. All right, and we're going to copy this. Throw that in the corner. It's good. That lines up. And then we're going to grab these. Copy G. I'm actually going to move that to there, ungroup it, and then move those. And this can get moved. We're going to move it to there. So this one's actually going to move out just a hair. And there we go. There we go. We got a nice little library. You know what? In fact, what I'm going to do is let me put some shelving here as the players walk in. Maybe not that one. Maybe this small one. And there we go. So now the players, when they'll walk in, there's going to be a door back here. And, ooh, actually, I just had this thought. I had a thought, and I don't know if I would want to do this. No, I do want to do this. Okay, so I had a thought about how I'm going to do this, and I need to group everything in this up, because what we're going to do now, we're going to take this and we're going to cut that and we're going to paste it. Yes. Okay, we're going to move this over to here. Come on, just line up. It needs to go like a hair. Damn it. All right, well, I'm just gonna reseat this door. God damn it, everything is like now just ever so slightly moved down. God, that is annoying. Oh wait, I can just unsnap. I'll just move it by, yeah, I'll just be very careful. There we go. As close to perfect as I can get. All right, so here's the idea and why I moved it down to where I did. In fact, I moved it a hair lower than where I meant to. Motherfucker. I literally moved it one square down from where I wanted it. All right, let's take that off. All right. So the reason why I did this is because I have this idea now where there's going to be a door right here in between these stacks. Now this door back here, I'm actually going to make bigger. You're going to need, I'm going to have something in this room. I'm going to change up how room 223 is going to work, but it's still going to be floating platforms and clouds. But there is going to be, at the top platform is a, oh my God, yes. Yes. This is an idea. Okay. All right, hold on. I gotta find a picture. There was a, yes, here it is. Okay, so, in the old show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the first season, there was a door that had this weird, like, air thing. And the idea was that when, you know, in order to open the door, you had to be an airbender, and you had to blow air up into these pipes. And what they would do is, like, air would go up this, curl around, and this was like blocked off, but it would blow into this. This would knock over and align itself with this, and it would open this. And then this pipe led to like over here, and this would turn, and these would all eventually turn. Oh, actually, somebody recreated it. Yeah, so this is what it would, you know, what it would look like. I kind of love this idea of having this for the boss door, where what you have to do is in this, in here is going to be these two cylinders. So they're going to walk up to this door, they're going to see that these cylinders are gone, and they're going to need to go into these two rooms to find them. This is also going to make this room, the large storm spirit, a little bit, you know, more workable. At least in my own mind. Can I find a GIF of that clip from Avatar? Oh wait, maybe I can. Hold on. I want to see how it works. It's been a while since I actually saw it. Probably just go to YouTube and find it. What do I look up? Air temple door. Is this? Only the avatar can open the door. Come on. Skip ahead. Yes, here it is. All right. So, not gonna play audio, but yeah. So this is the scene. So he blows the air up in there, goes in the pipe, turns this thing around, turns that one around, and then it turns that one around. And that's the idea. Super cool. And then it opens itself up. So, well, I think what I will do is, in this room, obviously we're in a library, and I said that there were tomes and scrolls. Something that I can do is have it be that there are scrolls of gust of wind in here, maybe scrolls of flying and stuff like that. So I got my dog here. I got my other dog, Dova. Come here, buddy. Come here, Bubba. Come on. Oh, there he is. There's a big old Dova. Wow. Dova, you got some peoples watching. You do, buddy. Yeah. What are you sniffing? What's the matter? I know. You're such a lovey boy. Oh, you're such a lovey boy. Yeah. I know. You're a good boy. Hold on. I gotta move my mic. Okay. Good boy? Yeah, he's a good boy. You gonna go see Mama? Go ahead, go see Mama. Yes, he's a good dog. All right, so yeah, like I said, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have like scrolls of gust of wind, things of that nature. So, you know, because gust of wind is not, wait, is gust? I know fly, I know I would want to put fly in there. Maybe there would be one that is gaseous form. That could definitely help, you know, dealing with these other 2 rooms, gaseous form would be a very powerful spell there. Fly would be pretty powerful. What is, I forget what the, oh, that's right, gust is a cantrip. Yeah, so this is more or less what you, like, you have to use on this door. So gust of wind, yeah, that's the 60-foot long, 10-foot wide. Okay, I know there's like a handful of spells like that. All right, so you know what, we're gonna so we're still gonna have the invisible stalkers. A puzzle door lies at the back and needs 2 pipes that are found in rooms 223 and 224. Put a flying carpet on the floor of the library. It'll be nice decor. You know what we'll do do a rug, but it'll be pinned down by this. So if the players actually realize that it's a flying carpet, like if they use, you know, detect magic or something, it's like held down by these pieces. Dova has come back to take a nap on my couch. Hey, get out of there. He was sniffing my box of Cheez-Its. All right, so gonna do over here. The carpet can't fly as is. If the players use their strength or something to blast, like to move these, they can get to it. But it'll just be a carpet. I mean, they can't move anyway. It's not like they're animated objects. All right. That was Bo. Bo was the one that I wrote that I generated the story about the Cheez-Its. All right, so this is going to be where the room is that has the platforms. I'm actually going to make it about the same height or like size, maybe just a little bit longer. Because then what I'm going to do is it'll be easy enough to illustrate these platforms with some asset. So maybe like a crate. So we'll have something where it's like the platform itself is up here. And this is where I guess I couldn't do that. So we'll have the one item up there. I guess I don't really need anything to illustrate it. We'll use a chest. That's fine. There we go. And then we'll have these platforms that float around. And they'll kind of go in an order. But kind of like before, the players will be able to kind of traverse around them. Maybe I shouldn't make them so gridded. Maybe I should just like kind of stagger them here and there. I don't know. I kind of feel like whenever, you know, if and when to run this particular map, you would almost have to like go in and, you know, set your own height values whenever you would do this. Because each one of them would have to be, you know, you have to figure out like, okay, how high is this one over here that the players have to get to, because none of this is big enough. None of these platforms would be big enough to do a running long jump. Because for reference, quick reference, here it is. So yeah, a long jump is that you have to move at least 10 feet on foot, and then it's based on your strength. So yeah, here it is. Your DM's option, they might require this. Yeah, a number, each foot you clear costs an extra foot of, yeah. So when you make a standing long jump, you only jump half. Yeah, so your strength score determines it. So this would obviously, you know, be something if I pull up, say, actually a good comparison would be Smith's two characters. So Smith's wizard has a 10 in strength, but his barbarian has a 19. So that means that in this particular situation, if he moves at least 10 feet, so, you know, if he's on this platform, you know, he can go 5, 10, and then jump. His wizard would only be able to cover an amount of space or an amount of feet equal to his strength score. So he could move 10 feet, whereas his barbarian could move 19. Now, I have done this in the past where I needed this, like, you know, rounding to the nearest 5, because, like, or if it's like, if you're having to, like, really round to get up, you know, for Smith, it would be barely anything. I guess you could come up with, like, a system based on if there's, like, not enough movement. But you know, you'd at least be able to make, like, Smith's barbarian would be able to make the gap from this one to this one. His wizard could not. But high jumping is basically just a number of feet is 3 plus your strength modifier. So Smith's wizard could jump 3 feet into the air. His barbarian could jump 7 feet into the air. But then you also have stuff like, you know, boots of springing and striding, which I could put, you know, in another part of the dungeon, or could be a piece of loot that they find earlier or somewhere else. Again, you could also just have the fly spell and basically get through this without any issue whatsoever. Whatever the case may be, this would probably be 60 feet up. That would probably be 60 feet up. And so maybe, you know, how many squares did we have? Let me see here. We had 20. Okay, so that's easy enough to do. So basically, like, every square could be about 3 feet up. So you could do where, like, this section right here, these platforms are, you know, 10 feet are like on the ground. Then you could do these ones are 10 feet up. You know, you could have like this section be 10 feet up, and then this next section be 20, and then 30, 40, and 50, and finally like this one up here. So you're kind of having to like jump up and get up there, but you also have to deal with this entire time air elementals, which they have the ability to throw you around. So that would be something that, you know, the players would have to deal with. So yeah, I kind of like this, you know, this whole build. And on top of all of this, you could have somebody who, like, maybe a ranger or a rogue ties a rope to an arrow and shoots it up into the ceiling, and now you know, maybe you have the gnome of the group, who's the lightest, just start to climb it, and you're dealing with the air elementals. Like, the air elementals are trying to hit you off, or trying to hit the gnome, so you're just trying to fend them off. However you got to do it, it's, you know, it's up to the players at that point. But I kind of like the design of having this being like staggered platforms, and maybe even having it so that they could move around a bit. So I think something that I'm going to do, though, is, why do I have that one chosen? I'm going to do that should not be that big. And we're gonna make this kind of a, like, turquoise, or we'll just do red. $10 feet. This way we can kind of denote how high each section is, and, like, you know, where it goes up. Yeah, there we go. Oop. Ah, God, I keep missing that 6. So yeah, there we go. So we got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then, you know, making up to those higher platforms. So wherever these land within those 3, you know, that's going to be where it's at. So there's going to be a couple that are, you know, skewed across some of them. But yeah, no, I like this. I like this design. Again, it's dealing with verticality. You would almost have to like label each one of them as you were doing this, but I think it's manageable. All right, so there is that. That is the open room filled with floating platforms and clouds. And we're not going to denote clouds. I could. There is like a cloud thing that you can... I could like put in here, but that would just be weird. Oh shit, that would actually be... No, we'll do that for the next section. All right, so now we need to do the room filled with rubble debris and a large storm spirit. So this is going to have the other one. So we're going to do our first room here. And we're just going to kind of mimic this room over here. So it's 13 by 20. Got some nice symmetry going on. Looks like curtains with clouds. I don't use curtains, so yup. I use a blind that blocks out all light from my room. Okay, so here's what we're going to do with this one. In this, there is going to be some corridors that the players will have to traverse in order to get to where that last, or where that key is. So, come on. Oh crap, I did 2 over there. No, that's just kind of making it another maze. I don't know how I want to do this. I kind of imagined this room being like a thinner, longer hallway. But now that I want to redesign this kind of section to be more of going for a prize. Oh, no. I have an idea. All right, so this room, this room over here has these floating platforms and air elementals. This room is going to have the storm spirit, but it's just going to have a bunch of rubble and stuff on the ground. So there's going to be stuff like, you know, a bunch of cupboards, crates, barrels, you know, like destroyed bookcases and stuff like that. And what the players are going to have to do is and I had thought of like a parkour thing, but that would be very difficult to design on here, because you'd have to think of like the different obstacles and also with the verticality that comes with a lot of that stuff. That's close enough. So what I could do is essentially just have a bunch of stuff in this room. I'm going to make it considerably smaller. I'm not going to have it symmetrical. Let's chop off a big old chunk over there. What this could be is have it where it's have it be where the platform is up in the air over here, and there's a bunch of stuff strewn across the ground. You know, there's all this rubble and debris, these like rocks and everything that are kind of strewn about, and the players are going to have to not only like traverse their way around all of these objects, but they're also going to have to deal with figuring out a way to get up to the platform. Like, there's not just going to be, unlike in the other room, the floating platforms that are there. So in this room, the players are going to have to like take these items that are kind of thrown about the room and actually like build something that would get them up to the platform, because the storm elemental is going to be using their tempest ability and their thunder abilities to like light stuff on fire, just attack them directly. But on top of that, it's going to be raining, so everything's going to be really slick. So they're going to have to like make this pillar while they're fighting this elemental. And honestly, as in most cases, they can just attack and kill the elemental and just be done with the thing at that point. But then have that be where it's, you know, it's this, now they just have to deal with making this tower and climbing up it or figuring out a way up it. And that would be more the dexterity checks of going up there. So I think that'll work. All right, so the last room is gonna be very similar to this one over here. Grappling hooks, if they have them, yeah, that would be an option. All right, so I want to extend this down just a hair because I don't want anything to cut into the walls to the other rooms. But this is going to connect to that. And this is the final room. Why does that have 17 sides? Why is that an odd amount of sides? That was weird. Okay. All right. So this is the one that's going to have a lot of these floating platforms. So I'm going to grab these crates again. We're going to use these to symbolize those floating platforms. Now with these, like I said before, these are kind of just going to be like stationary. Like there's going to be one right at the very beginning, and they're gonna be spread out and around. But what makes this room more of a challenge is that they will drop away and fall down into the abyss below. All right, and I kind of want to stagger these in a bit more of a pattern. I really only want there to be about 5 feet in between, you know, any two platforms. Mostly because I want I want there to at least be the option for like the more martial based characters who might not have access to a spell to be able to maneuver around, to at least have the, you know, the option to jump between platforms. So I also want them close enough where you can maneuver yourself around whenever the platforms fall. So just wanting to like kind of give them on the corners. Speaking of corners, you know what's something that I've been reading about regarding Pathfinder? I kind of love how Pathfinder does diagonal movement because it does it differently than D&D. And what it is for every so the way that D&D diagonal movement works is if you were on, say, you know, let's just build a random room here, you know, 10 by 10. Come on. So if you were to want to move from this corner to this corner in D&D, it's, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So that'd be the most, you know, that'd be your movement that you can move. In Pathfinder, it works differently. So if you wanted to move, you know, from that corner to that corner and you only have 30 feet, the way that Pathfinder does it, the way that Paizo does it, come on, get rid of that line, is it's 5 feet for the first bit of movement, but then it adds 5 feet for the second section. So this would be 5 and then 15, and then it repeats that. So it would be 20 and then 30. So you actually don't get as far, because if you like, if you started here and, you know, your D&D companion started here, you got 5, 10, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, you're moving considerably more. And it's one of those things where I kind of like the idea of it. Here we go. Yeah, I just found it on Nethys. So yeah, it's 5 feet for the first bit of diagonal, but then 10 feet beyond that. Or did I mess something up? because moving diagonally covers more ground, you count the movement differently. The first square is 5 feet, the second counts as 10, and thereafter it alternates between the two. So you would count 5, then 10, then 5, then 10. Yeah, so that's what I thought. But yeah, that aspect to me kind of blows my mind, that in Pathfinder, this would be your movement, and in D&D, this is your movement. And it covers a lot more ground. But the argument here is that it sticks more to like the coverage of a square grid. Because moving diagonally across a square, it's a larger distance than, moving across it, in any one of the directions. Because technically with this 5, 10, but the grid is arbitrary, isn't it? But the grid is arbitrary? Well, yes and no. I mean, the reason why we have a grid is to be able to space stuff out. So if we, if you look at your movement, if you have 30 feet of movement, you got, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and you're kind of moving in a zigzag pattern, but moving diagonally without having any kind of reduction of movement in in its cost, you're covering so much more ground than you could cover otherwise. So, and even Pathfinder still technically does that. If you have 30 feet of movement, to move up to this corner would take you 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. But to move on the D&D side of things, it's considerably more, because this would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then moving another 30 feet. So I would never impose this on D&D, but I find it interesting that this is how Pathfinder does movement, because Pathfinder was built from 3rd edition D&D, which was more tactical and was more grid based whenever it came to its design, whereas 5e obviously still does everything by the grid, but is also far more forgiving with a lot of stuff. It's the same reason why I always say, like, if we're doing, angles in spellcasting, from the ground up to a flying creature, I'm not doing Pythagorean theorem, because if you're 30 feet away from a creature and that creature is 30 feet up in the air and the range of your spell is 30 feet, you would not be able to hit them. You would have to move 30 feet directly below them to hit them, because the range is actually far greater. But yeah, just thinking of like these corners, this was just giving me this thought of how Pathfinder does things differently. I feel like it would be easy to forget, especially on a non-digital map, working it out for me. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're not using if you're not using a digital map, unless you're doing theater of the mind, you're going to be using a physical map, having like grid paper or some dry erase thing. Having something like this, or like a VTT, it definitely helps. But I would guarantee something like Foundry VTT probably has a setting that you would go in and set it to determine whether you're accounting for stuff being like Pathfinder or like D&D. All right, so here we go. This is our final room. So when the players arrive in this room, some of these platforms are not going to be there. So when the players get here, they're going to be able to like view into this room. There's going to be the large air elemental here in the center. You could probably do like huge and have it just like floating around. But the easiest thing would be to like whatever VTT you'd be using to actually run this, include this asset as part of it, and then you could just like hide these platforms, because it'd be easy enough to just like get in here. Let me just make a group and a copy Nope. Group it. Copy. Thank you. You know, it'd be easy enough to just like get in here and say, okay, as you look around, you can see a number of platforms floating around the room. And as you stand there, you suddenly see, you know, 3 of them begin to shake and wobble and then disappear and fall down into the cloud, but then 1 pops up in another section. And I would do it where you would have these sections where they'd be broken off and apart from one another. Because it does kind of offer you that chance to really like mess with the players and separate them as they are moving through this dungeon. But yeah, the nice thing with this is that this bottomless pit is magical, because if you notice, it would end up right over top of this bottomless pit. And that's actually kind of the design. Is this bottomless pit is magical, that the player will fall forever into this void, and if you fall off one of the platforms, you would see the platform like fall past you, and then once the elemental is destroyed, it's at that point that a massive gust of wind blows everything back up and has all the supporting platforms. So I really like this. I didn't read that one message that you put. I will say, taking each of these rooms on their own, I would not guess that air ties them together. It actually seems more creative than the others, as opposed to talking to Phil. So the thing is that it's, whereas these other rooms were more thematic in their setting of this one being inside of like a volcano kind of setting where this is all magma and you have like areas that if you step on them, you know, you're gonna burn your feet and, you know, having to not fall into the lava, or this one having to swim and hold your breath and deal with torrents and stuff like that, or this one where you're, you know, dealing with crystals and elementals and having to dig through the earth and stuff like that, or like climbing rocky walls. This one has more to do with the aspect of falling. So when I was thinking of air element, a lot of the case comes in flying and falling. So that's why in the first room, you're walking this thin, you know, this thin platform that kind of snakes around. There's gusts of wind that are going to be blowing at you and that could knock you off. This pit, room 221, in there, you have to worry about falling off of the walls and then climbing back out. So this has that same essence of, you know, flying and falling in a way. The library is definitely not as thematic towards air elementals in the same way that the rest of it is, but it has more of a tie to, like, more specifically with the elemental, the invisible stalker. So with the invisible stalker being in there, it's more that the air can make pages bluster about. So there's gonna be channels throughout the room where you can kind of like, you know, blow gusts of wind that would create those areas of visibility for yourself. And then, yeah, you know, kind of the same thing with this platform room of having to move around in order to get up to the key. And then with this one, air elementals are also storm elementals. So having to deal with the rain, the thunder, and the lightning. And then lastly, just the risk of falling to your doom would would kind of go in line with that, but it's all kind of building up to that, because like this final room kind of takes cues from 21 and from 23. 24 also takes some cues from 23, but also from 21 as well because of the storm elemental. The gusts of wind that come up and blow you around in 20 that would make it more difficult to move through there are the same gusts of wind that could come up and reveal where the invisible stalker are in 22 in the library, allowing you to see your enemies. So a lot of this is really more the effects of air and what that can create, rather than being more like in air. Because that was kind of how I thought I might have to do it with this. I also want to open this little section up right there. And then I got one more thing that I need to put in, and that is this. There you go. Nice big pit to really illustrate the point. But yeah, so there we go. That is sector 4 of floor 2. I'll put this right down here. There. Probably organize it a little bit better, but I think it's all right. Oh, God, that was just bugging me. That was gonna bug me all day. Like the one up here is not too bad because it's fairly small, and that's where the water elemental is. That would just bug me. But yeah, so there we go. This is floor 2 of Calendyr's Mega Dungeon. We have sector 1 being fire, with superheated rock filling the chamber, lava pools that will burn you, as well as the superheated rock on the floor that will also make you take some damage, where you fight through it, getting all the way to a climactic battle with a fire elemental. Sector 2 is water. It's mostly filled with water, but there are sea elves that are defending it, as well as a maze that you have to traverse to get a key to progress on, fighting your way through turbulent water and fighting finally against a water elemental. Sector 3, a collection of earthen corridors guarded by fierce earth elementals, having to fight through a room of dust mephits, as well as a magnetic elemental, some zorns that guard a labyrinth leading all the way up to a 2-walled cliffside that you have to climb up one side, open up the door on the other, and then climb back down and climb up to the final room, finishing off with a battle against a large earth elemental that appears as a stone obelisk. And finally, the one we did tonight, sector 4 air, an air temple looking area, peering with windows that peer down into a stormy void. The first area being where you have to traverse a thin collection of platforms leading to a deep pit, which you then have to climb back. This grand staircase leading to a library filled with invisible stalkers, a room with a high platform, and a key to this door down here that you have to climb up and deal with some smaller elementals. This room, 24, with another key to this door that you must create a large pile of rubble to climb up to get to it while dealing with a storm elemental. And finally, the final room where the climactic battle with the air elemental will take place. So that is where floor 2 leads us, is the elements. And as the players would traverse to each one of these sections, this center room would then, in each one, after killing every elemental, you get an elemental core, a strong, concentrated piece of that element that you would then be able to use to open up to go down to the next section. So what is the next section? Now, technically, I'm supposed to be doing these day by day. And as I said in the beginning, I have had days where, you know, I don't write anything, or like, you know, I'm struggling to come up with something and I put it off to the next day. I have had a small idea about what I want floor 3 to be, but I've been struggling to figure out exactly how I would do it and what each section would be and like what rooms would be there. So I'm gonna leave it a mystery for now. I need some time to think on it. And on top of that, I don't imagine anyone at all has done this day, but I don't know. I don't know. I will say that I have not, but I'm sure there probably is somebody out there who is trekking along each day, hitting it up. But the next section that I had thought of, like I said, I don't know how I would do it the way that I had originally planned, because it's been what, 56 rooms now. Yeah, I guess 50 in mine would be 56, because we, you know, January's 31, so, you know, if we today's Julian date, yep, yeah, 57. Today's the 57th day. So, but yeah, it's been a lot. It's definitely been a lot of rooms. And I do have an idea, like I said, in the first section, the first section with Heavens, you know, it was this grand overarching area, you know, and then we got cold because the Heavens, you know, you have the stars. It is cold in the heavens, it is dark in the heavens, and it is silent in the heavens. Then we had the elements. We went kind of in a grander scope of things. These are the things that build the worlds that we inhabit. Fire, water, earth, and air are the key elements that structure the material planes. And I had thought of doing my next section of being like the primal forces, the things that guide and dictate the worlds and the things that inhabit it. And those, I do have it like planned out on here. I don't know if this is the route I'm going to go. Again, it's going to be a surprise for next week. But my original plan was to do sectors based on order, chaos, time, and space. Now, time hits very close to home because this is Calendyr's dungeon. He's a chronourgist, the mad chronourgist. So how I would do stuff in time would be, I'd have to figure out how I would do that. Space would also kind of be aligned with the heavens. So I also struggled with that idea. Order and chaos is, I could manage something like that. It would be probably more of like, you know, randomness with chaos and like more logic stuff with order. But I also just have this one desire to maybe move a little away from structure and just really allow the next floor, what would take me up, you know, close into April, to just be stuff that is just what speaks to my heart. So these are the things that I'm going to be thinking about, over the next week as I'm plotting out some of the days. So, like I said, I am going to leave it up to a mystery. You can see where my original plans were. Chat about in Kel's Corner. So that's the thing. There's, I have some folks that I've been talking to about this. Some of the folks that I've been, doing my side creative work. I don't want to talk too much about that, but I've kind of brought up about how some of this would be laid out. But that'll be something that we'll have to deal with. We'll have to discuss next week. So, but that will bring us to the end of tonight's stream. So I appreciate you folks hanging out with me and spending some time building this map. So we have our 2 floors that we have been working on, this whole time. And we're now, 57 rooms into a dungeon. I honestly did not know if I would even make it this far when I started this, but hey, look at us now. So, but thank you so much for joining me. I can't say it enough. If you are watching this either live or you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, I have not uploaded to YouTube in a while, and I got to do that probably Wednesday. But if you want to join the discussion over in the Discord, I don't have time to do the DM Academy stuff tonight. I am exhausted. I also got to go get a shower because I can smell copper. So need to at least go wash my face of blood. Look, if you want to join the community, discuss it, hang out with the folks that are here, you can follow this link that's above me, or you can click the big Discord button that's below the stream. Join us over there in Kel's Corner. There's a lot of good people over there. We talk about D&D stuff, talk about video games, kind of the center points of this channel. So if you're interested in the stuff that we do here, hang out with us over there. We're always glad to welcome some new faces and new folks. But beyond that, I'm going to go ahead and go grab a shower and wash out some of this blood from my nosebleed earlier. So you folks have a wonderful night, and I will see you probably throughout the week. I might do a stream tomorrow night. I haven't fully decided that. It was an idea that I had a little bit earlier, but haven't fully committed to that. So maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, but definitely Thursday. So I will see you folks then. You have a wonderful night. Peace.